What happens when a curious German Shepherd gets its head stuck in a metal gate? You might think it's just another mishap, but what unfolds next will leave you in tears. This isn't just a dog in trouble. It's a moment that shows the true power of empathy and kindness, even from the most unexpected source, a baby. On a sunny afternoon, in a peaceful suburban backyard, a playful German Shepherd was exploring the yard, its tail wagging as it investigated every scent and sound. But in its curiosity, the dog stuck its head through the metal gate. Panic set in as it tried to pull back, but it was trapped. Inside the house, a baby, no older than a year, heard the commotion. Little did anyone know, this baby would step up in a way that would change everything. The moment the baby heard the frantic barking and whimpering of the dog, its instincts kicked in. The child's eyes widened with concern, and a sense of urgency spread through its small body. The baby, unable to understand the full complexity of the situation, knew one thing: the dog needed help. The baby's tiny hands moved quickly across the floor, and its small body followed. Every inch of the baby's movements was filled with determination. Its little face was scrunched in concentration as it crawled toward the window. The sounds of the dog's struggles were growing louder, and the baby's curiosity was now matched by its concern. As the baby reached the window, it pressed its face against the glass, trying to get a better view of the dog. The dog's frantic movements were becoming more desperate, the sound of its barks and whines filling the air. The dog's head was stuck tight between the bars of the metal gate, and the animal's body jerked and twisted, attempting to free itself. Its paws scrabbled helplessly against the gate. Inside the house, the baby's mother had heard the commotion. She rushed into the living room, her heart racing as she followed the sound of the distressed dog. When she saw the baby standing there, face pressed against the window, her heart skipped a beat. The baby's innocent face was filled with worry as it watched the dog's struggles. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" the mother asked, her voice soft, yet filled with concern. But the baby didn't respond. Instead, the child's attention remained fixed on the dog. The mother followed the baby's gaze and saw the German Shepherd stuck, its head wedged in the gate. She could feel the panic rising in her chest. The baby, though still too young to understand fully, seemed to know that the dog needed help. Its hands moved toward the door handle, and in a determined move, it tugged at it. The mother watched in amazement, realizing that the baby had made up its mind. The child was not going to wait for an adult. The baby was going to help. The mother quickly moved to stop the baby, but as the child pulled open the door, she found herself hesitating. The instinct to keep the baby safe warred with the understanding that the baby was trying to do something incredibly important. The mother rushed after the baby, who was already crawling into the yard, moving toward the dog. The baby's small body wobbled as it moved across the grass, but its determination never wavered. The dog, still struggling in the gate, seemed to grow quieter as it noticed the baby. The frantic movements slowed. There was something in the baby's gaze, something calming. As the baby reached the dog, it paused for just a moment, unsure of what to do next. Then, without hesitation, it reached out a tiny hand and gently placed it on the dog's fur. The touch was soft but reassuring. The baby patted the dog, its touch tender and full of empathy. The dog, still stuck, ceased its frantic movements for the first time. Its body relaxed, and the whimpering slowed. The mother, standing a few feet away, watched the scene unfold. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. Her child, still so young and innocent, had already understood the power of kindness. It wasn't fear that drove the baby, it was pure empathy, the kind that came from the heart. The baby's small hand rested on the dog's fur, and the moment seemed to stretch on. The German Shepherd's body relaxed under the baby's touch. Its ears, once pinned back in panic, began to soften, and its eyes, wide with fear just moments ago, now appeared calm. The dog stood still, allowing the baby to comfort it. There was no struggle, no frantic pulling at the bars. It was as if the dog had found a source of peace in the presence of this tiny, compassionate creature. The baby, still sitting on the grass beside the dog, continued its gentle patting. Every few moments, it looked up at the dog, as if checking for approval. The baby's face reflected both concern and reassurance, an understanding that the dog was in distress and needed comfort. The mother stood frozen in place, watching in awe. She had seen her child offer comfort before, but never like this. Never in a situation so dire. The baby's natural instinct had been to comfort the dog in its time of need. The mother's heart swelled with pride, her eyes filled with both disbelief and admiration. She had always known her child was special, but this was something beyond her expectations. For a moment, the world seemed to slow. The sounds of the struggling dog faded, and the only thing that remained was the bond between the baby and the dog. The dog no longer seemed scared. It was as if the baby's presence had given it the reassurance it needed. There was no fear in the dog's eyes now, only trust. The baby continued to pat the dog, its little fingers brushing against the dog's fur with a gentle rhythm. It was clear that the baby's understanding of the situation went beyond what anyone could explain. It wasn't about knowing what was happening or knowing how to fix it, it was about responding with compassion. The mother, still standing in disbelief, began to walk closer. Her heart was racing, but it was no longer out of fear. She now felt a deep sense of awe and gratitude. The baby, so small and innocent, had instinctively known exactly what to do. The mother reached the dog and baby, still watching, not wanting to interrupt the beautiful connection that was unfolding. The baby's touch continued, and the German shepherd remained calm. It was clear that the bond between the two was deepening, but there was still one thing left to do. The dog was not free yet, and there was a sense of urgency that lingered. The baby, still unaware of the full situation, seemed to sense this too. With newfound determination, the baby reached up and grabbed the dog's collar. Its tiny fingers tugged gently at the collar, trying to help in whatever way it could. The dog, feeling the pull, shifted its body slightly, responding to the baby's efforts. It wasn't much, but it was enough to show the dog that someone was there, trying to help. The mother, watching the baby's efforts, felt an overwhelming sense of pride. It wasn't just about freeing the dog, it was about the baby's instinctive understanding of what was needed. The baby had acted with empathy, with a desire to help, without hesitation or fear. The mother, seeing that the baby had done all it could, began to work on the gate. She knelt down beside the dog and gently pulled at the bars. The baby, still holding the collar, watched as the mother worked to free the dog. It was clear that the baby was no longer just a spectator. It had played a crucial role in calming the dog, and now the mother would do the final part. With careful movements, the mother pried the metal bars apart. She used all her strength, and finally, with a deep sigh of relief, the German shepherd's head popped free. The dog backed away from the gate, its body still a little stiff but clearly relieved. The dog looked up at the baby, its tail beginning to wag. The baby, now standing, smiled brightly, its face lit up with pride. The baby reached out and touched the dog once more, this time on the dog's head. The German shepherd licked the baby's face in a gesture of pure affection and gratitude. The baby laughed, a joyful sound that filled the yard. The mother, watching the scene, felt a rush of emotion. She couldn't have predicted this moment. She had been worried, fearful for both the baby and the dog, but now there was only relief and love. The dog had been freed, and the baby had been its unlikely hero. As the dog and baby played together in the yard, the mother stood at the doorway, watching the two of them. The baby giggled, crawling beside the dog as the German shepherd nudged it playfully. The connection between them was clear, a bond formed in an instant, based on empathy, kindness, and a desire to help. The mother couldn't help but reflect on the day's events. It wasn't just the dog that had been freed, something much deeper had occurred. The baby had shown that even the youngest among us could make a difference. It wasn't about grand gestures or spoken words. It was about showing love and care in the simplest ways. The baby's actions had reminded the mother of something important. The world often needs kindness more than anything else. It was easy to get caught up in the complexity of life, but sometimes the answer to everything was as simple as offering a gentle hand and a listening ear. The mother smiled, watching the dog and baby interact. The dog wagged its tail in delight, while the baby laughed, its innocence shining brightly. The dog and the baby had formed a bond that would last, one that transcended words, age, and species. The family watched the two together, realizing that this moment would stay with them forever. The baby, without even knowing it, had shown them all that even the smallest acts of kindness could have a profound impact. The dog, once trapped and frightened, was now free. And the baby had been the one to show the way. In a world that could often seem complicated, this simple moment of empathy was a reminder of what truly mattered.